Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I speak, train and write about the use of social media for recruitment. And of course, I am joined by the ever fabulous Audra Knight. I've just dropped you. Audra, what are we this week? Recruitment marketing or employer branding nerd? I can never remember. One of those. Which one?
Both. That's fine.
Both. She knows her stuff. That's the important thing. Today, we are chatting to the ever fabulous Mervyn Dinnan, who is now a talent acquisition analyst. And we are looking into the crystal ball and talking about the future of recruitment. Mervyn, thanks so much for joining us.
That's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, Mervyn, I am a super fan and I love your blog. Yours and Katrina's are obviously definitely some of the best in the business. But for anyone who doesn't know about you, can you give us kind of a background to what you've been doing with Talent Insights and kind of that's your background?
Yeah, well, background is many years of recruiter.
How many would be many years of
sales and marketing people, and then recruiting HR people. Kind of made a bit of a move about 5-6 years ago. Was head of social media and content for JobSite, through a UK job board. And over the last 2-3 years, I've been working with kind of recruitment and HR technology companies, looking at researching, writing about current future trends in recruitment, talent acquisition, HR and stuff. I write white papers and reports about HR trends and recruitment, and also blogs. And I help companies with research-led content marketing strategies.
Research-led content, say that again.
Research-led content marketing strategies.
Wow.
It's Friday, remember? You have to say these things slowly.
I know.
Oh, and Katrina's here, and here.
Yes.
So, if you're doing all of these research, I take it that's where you've come up with the whole, there is a future to recruitment.
Well, of course
I see a lot of people who keep saying it's going to be robotic. I personally don't think it ever will be. But what are your thoughts? What has made you quite passionate about this?
Well, recruitment will have a future because businesses at the moment will still need to acquire people. If we use the T word, talent, it's kind of an easy catch-all. But businesses will still need talent, and people will still need to earn money. So it's recruitment will happen. So that matching of work to a person will still happen. Now, how it happens may change. So recruitment has a future, but if we are saying what is the future for people who are called recruiters, that is where people start talking about algorithms and things, and that is, I suppose, less clear as in what will be the nature of the role.
See, I see a swing back. So, I mean, when you talk about there has been a massive change in how recruitment's been done in the last 10 years, which is obvious. I mean, actually, your and my job wouldn't have even, three of us wouldn't have had a job like this 10 years ago. It's also new. But I sense there's going to be a shift back to maybe technology to do the research, but still even more of the people side coming in, because I think we've lost the plot at the moment. There's too much of this spraying, praying, I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. That assumes that the matching happens by recruiters finding people and matching them. Right. Yes, we're still necessary, but what is happening now is that people's networks are growing. The blog that Audra held up earlier. Is
that a printout of
everybody? Everybody has networks. Every employee has networks. Every ex-employee has networks. Every customer has networks. Every collaborator. Everybody has a network, and those networks have networks. And the future is really understanding kind of connections, the relationship, the strength of the connection, the reputation around it, and then the culture. So those are the four things that I keep saying are the future, and how we actually do them might change. There might be algorithms, there might be people doing it, but at some stage it is not inconceivable that a job seeker will pick up one of these things and will want a job, I don't know, as a Ruby on the Rails developer somewhere, and will be able to see 15 people who can connect them to a Ruby on the Rails job. They will know the strength of that. So it might be that the barista that he tends to get his coffee from every morning when he goes to work was at university with someone whose brother was or is in a company that's looking for one. Or it might be, somebody he used to work with in a project team is actually looking for someone. So the strength of that will be there. And it's the trust, I suppose, the trust, the strength of reputation. He will have a rating, no doubt. People who he's worked with would have rated him in a number of ways. The company he's linked to will be rated in a number of ways. He won't have to log on to Glassdoor. All of that stuff will be channelled through.
Isn't there a site that just started?
Excuse me, I haven't finished yet.
Sorry, I know, you mid-rant, but we do that on this show.
It's not rant. Right, it's the future.
No, but wasn't there a site? Actually, I bet Katrina knows the name of it, that just set up that was all about rating your personal brand. But there was quite a backlash. I mean, far more than LinkedIn, and there was quite a backlash.
Oh yeah, it was like.
We'll come back to you. But go, Mervyn, go. You may speak.
No, I've lost the drift now. I'm looking for comments.
Lost the thread. But do you think that there's a risk?
People love people, says Julie.
Yeah.
People do love people, but
is there a risk? I'm sorry, but I keep sliding towards the window. Is there a risk that we will then just hire people like ourselves? And maybe that's not what our company needs to succeed.
Well, no, I mean, some jobs, some kind of lower skill, repetitive jobs, pretty soon you won't need an interview, you won't need anything. It's just, are you available? The fact that you have a rating of 7.7 up, plus means that you can do that job for the period of time. Right. The fact that the fact that you are connected through an app or whatever means that you're available. The fact that you have kind of a rating means you're certified. The price is agreed because it's there. And so that kind of, I suppose, lower skill matching, a lot's done through temp agencies and stuff that, further down the supply chain maybe, will be taken out. You won't need to be interviewed, pitch up, be given direction, and that's it. So it's I suppose, the more knowledge skill, the more jobs that require a lot more kind of, knowledge, judgment, skill, that will be harder to recruit, but they may still, to a certain extent, come through this kind of trust of the technology. There'll still be people. So people do.
Sorry.
No, you speak.
But in a way, what you're talking about, in some ways, is already there. So if you take into account Uber drivers, if their rating falls below 4.5, they're pretty well no longer allowed to be an Uber driver. Like, it's really quite strict. It's all that's all quite hidden, but it is all based on the ratings that they're getting back from people. So in a way, it's already started. I'm not so convinced. We've got some great.
No, I agree.
I don't. So from Katrina Kibben, I don't think it'll come down to eliminating the hiring process. I think it'll be more about work transparency and project-based hiring, which is what you're talking about, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I think at certain levels, the hiring process won't happen. It will just be a match.
So you must be a big advocate for like personal branding and networking for job seekers.
Yes, I mean, unfortunately, when we get into words like personal branding, employer branding, we're beginning to get into buzzwords that mean a myriad of things to different people, and it depends the person using them, how they're using them, the context in which they're using them. We all have a brand, but then we kind of did before the internet, as Katrina's heard me say several times. Employer branding didn't start with the internet. Way before the internet. There were aspirational employers of choice that were based on consumer perception, customer perception. I won't give out names, because I don't know who's listening, but there are certain iconic UK brands, Virgin is an example, that people have wanted to work for like 30 years. It's got nothing to do with an employer brand. And so that's always been there. People always have views and perceptions. And it's the same with, I can think back to the beginning of my career. I worked for a company of 150 people in my first job, but a lot of the people there were there because of connections with other people who were there. Very few of them actually came from totally outside of the wider community it was a firm of accountants, the partners and stuff. They all had links from places they'd worked before. People signed up to join because they knew people, or somebody they worked with said that's a good firm to train with. So this has always happened.
Katrina's written a question, but for some reason I can't drag it in like you used to be able to. What do you think of personality tests then and job matching?
Before I do that, I'll just deal with Julie's going on about Clout. Yes. No, Clout was flawed because it still exists, but I mean, it's got a very narrow definition of what they mean by influence. And influence is a very, very broad thing. So it's.
Well, you and I have sat there and debated it, haven't we?
Yes.
We had a fun few weeks of sitting there baiting it to see if we could move our CLAT scores. It was quite fun.
Yes, there will be, and it's not there yet, but there will be over the next 5 to 7 years something that's a bit more robust than LinkedIn referrals and recommendations and stuff, endorsements.
Yeah. So I will say though, CLAT is a great source of content that other people aren't necessarily sharing. I find that quite useful.
Yeah.
If you're looking for some unusual, they seem to have gone that route. Just random fact out there.
Yeah, just slip into content marketing. Yeah. Well, it is one source.
Personal brand, isn't it? Sharing stuff that people that you want to recruit will be drawn towards.
Yeah, there's that. There's IBM's New Way to Work influencer tool where some great content comes out. If you look at the hashtag New Way to Work, some interesting stuff on that as well.
Oh.
I'm plugging that because I'm a IBM New Way to Work futurist, you see.
What does that mean in English?
It means I'm a New Way to Work futurist on IBM.
Is that like a top 10 people in the globe that are?
No. There's a bunch of us. There's guys that you know. We help to share information and we help to, I suppose, share thoughts, share content, and it's just looking at the future of work. It's about the future of work. People in the UK, like Perry are there, Dave D'Souza from CIPD, Dave Green, there's a few of us. Tony Restel, before he thinks I'm not mentioning him. There's a few from the UK, but a lot of them are obviously US based, like Tim Sackett and guys like that.
Fair enough.
Check that out.
So
now you said Katrina had a question about Katrina Kibben, not you.
Sorry,
yeah, personality tests. Yeah, personality tests, and they work.
Well, this is personality tests. There's obviously the Elevated Careers, who are part of eHarmony, have just launched in the US, and that's obviously been caused a bit of a, certainly on the channels, the various Facebook groups I'm on for recruiters. It's caused a lot of debate and chat. I think that personality assessments will come of age. I don't know the way we do it at the moment. I mean, a lot of it is down to gut feel. A lot of it is down to looking for how people act in certain situations and react. I don't know if the way we ask competency behavioral questions and stuff like that, I don't know if it's it's quite an artificial environment, the way we ask it. I think that personality might be defined as something different. And I think what we're looking at is culture fit, and a culture to not the kind of thing we think, that we've got this crazy sales-driven culture where people play ping pong at lunchtime, but it's more of a mindset, and you'll drift in and out of different mindsets depending on the project you're on, depending on who you're working with, where you're working, and the kind of output you're trying to come up with. I think it will be we'll have a different understanding of our personas at work.
How are we going to know that though? Sorry.
Because there's stuff. I mean, when you go to HR technology conferences, you go to the startup areas, and there's loads and loads and loads of startup tech around culture matching, personality matching, that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of that is yet to be. A lot of that is yet to be.
I think it'll go back to that. We just keep hiring the which isn't necessarily what we need. But sometimes we need the opposite of us to work with to make something.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to be saying this to you here, but out there are people who don't have access to this platform, who are working at 300 people companies where they're still kind of, advertising in the local press and just getting CVs in and going through them and looking for keywords and trying to work out how old everybody is applying. It will take time. So it's kind of, it won't work with everybody. We both did. Katrina and I did something about 18 months ago in Manchester. Social recruiting, and we were talking to HR managers in the Northwest, and a lot of them were in situations where there was no access to social media. They couldn't access LinkedIn from work computers. They had to give warnings to people who were caught kind of accessing social media sites at work. So there is obviously not everybody's at the same place.
Yeah.
They're not going.
I still get surprised.
Yeah.
You were going to ask a question, Audra, or was it one of the ones from down here?
Well, I'm kind of into this one. How do you define culture fit? I mean, you kind of touched on it, but so it's not exactly being like someone; it's how they think. Is that what you're?
Again, I think it's a number of things. We say culture fit. We say this is our culture. This is these are the brand values. This is what we live by, and we want people who echo that. But we're looking at behaviours. So we're looking at and rewards drive behaviours. And if you don't think so, as I always say, take a sales team and make one of them commission only, so that they earn nothing unless they sell and close deals, and then see how that changes the way they operate. Because it will, because I've worked in commission-only environments and they work very differently to others. And so it's a mixture, I suppose, of behaviours, the way we operate, the way we think. But sometimes it's input from the people around us, and sometimes it's what the company wants. A lot of companies like fairly abrasive cultures where people maybe are fairly... can't think of the word on Friday afternoon, but there's an edge around the place. Too often we think culture is a ping pong table and a nice espresso machine in reception, and that's a culture. And it isn't, because a culture is more of a mindset, and the way we manage people, the way we lead them, all of that is part of culture.
So exactly on that note, sorry. No,
it's okay.
No,
carry on. I was going off.
I imagine the question relates to it. So Jackie Clayton's written here. So if we recruit for the culture, do you recruit for the culture you have or the one you want?
Oh, I like that question. That's a good one.
Who defines it? I think who defines it is also really important.
Yeah, well, you most companies recruit for the culture they think they have. And they do a lot of work. They do a lot of sessions with employees. Why do you like working here? What is it about working here that's great? Why would you recommend this place to a friend? That kind of stuff. And a lot of leaders, a lot of senior managers. Look, I've over my years as a recruiter, I've sat down, certainly on the agency side, with loads and loads of hiring managers, owner managers, directors of businesses, and they say this is the kind of culture we are here. Yeah, we're a work hard, play hard culture. We want people like that. We want people who've achieved. But that's how they perceive the culture. But then we're recruiters. We've interviewed people leaving those same companies who say it's nothing like that there. So some of it is perception, and you can have companies where there are many different cultures. So the culture in the sales team will probably be different to the culture in the marketing team. The customer service team will probably have a different culture around that actual team. And they will do things differently. And you can, I've worked in companies where as you walk through the building, it's like you're walking into almost different companies.
Yeah.
So you're going, that's marketing, that's accounts, that's IT, that's the development guys. And it's almost like walking into different, this lot being suits, that lot being t-shirts and chinos or combats. It's different. The whole thing is different, but there will be an overarching belief or value in what the business does and attempts to achieve that they will all buy into.
Yeah, which actually Julie wrote back up here a little. It keeps moving a bit fast, so I hope I can find it. Take away the hierarchy and introduce I can't say that word, holacracy. So then anyone is mission led. That would then attract the right people, not just people who want the job. So people bought into the purpose and the mission. Holacracy? How do I say that word?
Holacracy.
Is that it? Oh, good. I've learnt one today. So
Jackie Clayton seems to want me to. So the answer is, I don't know, Jackie. I wasn't told I've got to come on and give answers. I was told
you just come on and give your opinion, and nobody has to agree with it either. Damn it.
Katrina, that's one other. I see. Sorry, these are people talking to each other. I thought these were.
They're on the side channel. Don't worry about them. They're
I'm sorry,
Jackie.
Jackie.
It's all good. We can't keep up with them. If they don't punch the questions at you.
For Jackie, I think the answer is that we can't be definitive on this. Different situations, different parts of organizations, different, depends what's going on in the outside world, depending what your pressures your business is under. I mean, we've seen this in recent years in the UK in the retail sector, how, companies like H&B, Woolworths, BHS, what's going on. And sometimes there's a culture, but it's how leaders respond and understand what's going on outside, how their world is changing. So it's, I have recruited a lot of salespeople in the past, and every head of sales that you speak to thinks they have this hard-driven, high-performance culture, full of sporting analogies, full of people who hammer the phones or close clients all day and then go out drinking all night, come back and do it the next day. But it's never like that.
No.
That's a perception. It's never like that. Those kind of people burn out.
I also think the other thing is that...
And we have the analytics probably now to be able to look behind that. So for every person that closes a deal, there's something happening behind, in the back office, in the supply around the company. There's something else happening to help that happen. So there's influence elsewhere in the organization that might not get recognized.
Yeah. I think the other theory is as well, if people are saying, so I mean, my background's technology recruitment rather than sales recruitment, that we want the latest, greatest U-Butte developer, but then they bring them in and don't have the work for them either, because they think they're bigger, which I think you're also referring to. They think they're a certain way, so they think they've got something more exciting going on than they do. I see that as being
well, that's, I mean, you get that kind of, you go down the high street and you see, I suppose, the cheaper chains from Gap to Primark and H&M and Topshop and all that. You get loads of people going in, buying things they think they look great in. Barry's not there anymore.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
Loads of people buying stuff they think they'll look good. I do it. I think, that'll suit me. And of course, you then go and find it doesn't. Yeah, it's kind of, but I've got to have that because other people have got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Everybody's wearing check shirts. Therefore, I must have a check shirt.
You look great in your check shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a check shirt, actually. Yes.
So, Mervyn, I have a question.
You've got a question, Audra.
Yes. So you mentioned how sometimes many different cultures in the different departments, and then you can have my company is also global. So then we have a different culture in EMEA, APAC, over here. So how do you find that overarching culture for say your career site to try to attract that many different types of people?
That is a question.
Without sounding glib, it's kind of authenticity, it's consistency, it's transparency, it's a message. I mean, it's funny. There's the Employer Branding World Conference is on this week, isn't it? So over in the Czech Republic. So I mean, it's a platform like Paperfly. I give a plug. I know them, but I mean that helps companies be consistent around the world, around regions, around locations, to give a consistent way to promote themselves. I mean, obviously you get legal differences. So you get companies who, for regional differences, there's certain things they can't say and can say legally. But the overall kind of employer branding, what the business is like, what its values are, will need to be fairly consistent. Having said that, again, in different countries, it will be perceived differently. So it's companies we trust here, like I know Marks and Spencer's, but in other countries where they've gone, haven't had that. Tesco's, everybody thinks that's the place to go because you're going to get quality at a decent price. But when they tried to make it in the US, it didn't really work like that. So it's kind of some of the reputations will be local. You won't. Now I might be wrong. If anybody here from Holland, apologies if I'm wrong, but I think you won't find a Gap store in Holland because I don't think they're allowed to open there. Right. So I mean, there will be regional.
That's snow.
Yeah.
Hail.
It's snowy.
No. Sorry. Seriously?
Sorry, it's obviously moved across London because it stopped. In southwest London, it stopped.
That is full on hail. So I think Katrina's doing a great point on what you just said, and it answers your question as well. That doesn't work. Consistent approaches to universal culture is a quick road to employer blanding.
Employer blanding.
That's true. Employer blanding. But I think my thinking when you were saying that was, and I look at Zalando Tech in Germany, I love the way they just keep it really real. That whole, unfortunately, we've ruined the word authentic, but that just the sharing the photographs, just sharing little videos, just showing what they're actually doing. This is our office. This is what it looks like. Here's a quick snap. All of that, wherever the location, and people will get bought into it.
Right,
because there will be a culture from the inside out, not via marketing.
Can I just answer Katrina before I fall foul of the Recruiting Daily
other Katrina
posse? Yeah, the other Katrina before I fall foul of the Recruiting Daily posse. No, you're quite right. So too much consistency creates employer blanding because everybody's experience is different, and every pocket within the organisation, as I said before, is different. Yeah. So you could work in the sales department of one company and have a horrendous time, or at the marketing and have a great time. But what I'm talking about is the way that it not the individual message, but the way that it is portrayed. So that if you're going to work for BP, then if you're looking to work for them in one country, another region, you feel you are applying to the same company, as opposed to this has got nothing to do with that one. So I suppose it's the way the message is shared and the way the message is created that needs to be consistent, as opposed to just making out that everywhere in the world, everybody who works for the organization looks like this. That wasn't what I meant. And I agree that if we try to do that, it's very bland, it's lowest common denominator, and we don't really find out all the exciting stuff, the differentiators within an organization that makes people want to work there.
And I think when they do it and it's fake, so I usually, and like, no offense to all our US people who are on the call, but, you know, it's usually the US sites that I'll open up and you'll have every color, every national, like it's a person, and male, female, and you're like, come on, is your company really like that? Like, it probably isn't. So back to the authentic thing. I like the idea of a global media kit for recruiting. Why do big we've got a question. Why do big companies think the employer brand is so important when it is so easy to find out what life is really like in an organization?
Well,
very true.
Well, the reason why they think employer brand is important is the reason why they think millennials are different. Because you've got a plethora of people, mainly in the digital space, going in to sell them consulting, telling them that these things are different and therefore they need to pay somebody to do it for them or to help them to understand it. So, sorry, Audra's looking as if she's like throw something.
Audra's just been insulted massively. A big slap across the face.
I'm sorry. That's okay, a glib answer, but it's I mean, it's the new secret sauce. It's the kind of it let people know what it's like to work on the inside, and you know, if you share it, they will come. And it's not really like that. There are many different brands within an organization, many different EVPs. I think Bill at an event the other day, Bill Borman was going on about from EVP to IVP, I think, individual. And everybody has a different experience of working in a place. And I
miss words.
I've worked in businesses that I haven't been happy, and other people have thought it's the greatest place. And vice versa. But again, this is nothing new. We think it's new because we're talking about it all the time now. But I go back again to the company I worked for first, which was a firm of accountants. And their big problem was that when people qualified, they tended to leave. They weren't millennials, although they were millennials in that day. They were the equivalent of millennials then. And because they want a different experience. I've been here for 3 years. I want to try something else. It's too early in my career to know where I want to be for the rest of my life. And so what the company did was think that you could monetize this. So what they did is once people qualified their exams or got to a level of being, or got to that level, they offered them loyalty bonuses. So if you stay 1 year, you get this. Yeah. If you stay a second year, you get then a bigger amount at the end of the second year, and the third year, a bigger amount again at the end of the third year. But nobody stayed 3 years because their reason for going wasn't couldn't be bought. It was the fact they want more experience. And if you look around today, what job seekers want in a job, it's development, it's experience, it's broadening of skills.
I love what it keeps flashing over. Mark's written here. At the end of the day, the team you work with will be more important than the company. And I think that relates to Katrina's gig economy. Moving too fast, I can't keep up. But I think that's true. It's always been true. Is that the future of recruitment, or is that how it's always been? Audra, please go.
Yeah, I want to have my say. So I think, though, they're like, well, why do big companies care about employer branding and want to put resources in? Because they want to be part of the conversation. If you just leave everyone else talking and Glassdoor and everyone, why not have your say and also promote the good things?
Are they overcomplicating it, though? Is that what Tris was getting at?
Is who over?
Again. Big companies. Why do you think that employer brand is so important?
Do they mean us? Do they mean us or companies?
I mean, you don't have to hire a separate person, but I think you need to pay attention to what people are saying and be part of the conversation.
Yeah, but that's sentiment analysis. That's just managing your online. Sorry, that's managing your reputation.
Yeah.
And listening to what people are saying about you and understanding it, as opposed to employer branding isn't a marketing initiative. So I go to events here. I go to employer events mainly around employer branding. It's full of recruiters and HR people. I then go to employer branding conferences, whole day conferences, where there's not an HR recruitment person anywhere near it. It's all marketing and internal comms people. And they talk about things very differently. There is a campaign. It's not kind of, it's something to be marketed out. So it's quite a diverse thing. And you know, the real heads of global talent acquisition bring all of this together. So employer branding is between HR, recruitment, marketing, internal comms, all the different stakeholders.
Interesting. One of the comments, oh God, it moves so fast. Okay, so Trish has written, I think Glassdoor are holding you to ransom. Oh, it is with a winky face. I don't think it's just Glassdoor though. So the example I gave in Singapore the other week was Hotel Boss, where I was staying. If you went on and looked at it on Facebook, which is where there's 1 billion people every day, the reviews, 1 star, hotel management suck. And at the same time, they've got we're hiring right there on their normal Facebook page. And you're just going, not just Glassdoor, you should be checking out, which goes back to his point about it's easy to see what the culture's like, what it's like to work somewhere. I didn't even have to, it took me 2 seconds. Oh my God, there's so many comments down here. Are there any, Audrey, you want to read out?
Oh, there's too many it's going too fast.
They're arguing.
Is that good? Is that good?
It's awesome.
Isn't it good?
Where were they last week? There was no one last week. Everyone sure.
Well, because you're talking about candidate experience. No one's interested in candidate experience.
Yeah, no, we were supposed to be looking in the crystal ball as well.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
We used to send faxes, and now we're sending emails. And what's the future?
Yes, well, and also, what's the future for? Do you think more recruitment teams will have a marketing person on their team, or just work more with marketing in the future?
I hope
Things I learned from marketing. I think that we need a variety of skills. So I was at a kind of a workforce and people analytics conference a few months back, and a lot of the presentations, a lot of the people who presented did not have an HR background, although they sat in HR teams. They had a background in analytics, they had a background in research, lots of different things. They were there to be storytellers within the organization. They were there to understand what problems the organization had that they could use insights from data to help solve. And I think that the idea of we can't say recruitments have to be like marketers, because they might be complementary skills, there might be different skills, but there's no reason why you can't have a marketing person. If you've got a recruitment team in an organization, then that team needs capabilities, not just how to search CVs and interview people. And you need people to manage relationships with hiring managers. If you're a big global organization, you need people on the marketing side. That could be employer branding, that could be job marketing, that could, so there's no reason not to have a marketing. And there are recruitment marketing people you get on these teams, I think, in big organizations. So I like the idea, because if we're meant to be properly engaging and properly nurturing, not just the quick win, and this is in-house I'm talking, not the quick win, I've got to fill the role now, but that, I know it's nurses, hard to find, I know it's doctor, whatever it is that's hard to recruit, where you really do want to be doing the talent pooling. And I think if you can have a marketer working with you to properly engage with them, as in people to people, and not someone's just written here, maybe if we stop classifying everyone as candidates, the recruitment experience would be better. Exactly. The people that you want to bring in, if we're talking to the people, that was Mark, by the way, that I do think that would be so powerful. But unfortunately, I also see marketers still spraying and praying stuff out instead of engaging in conversation. And I just still think that the world's getting so noisy, 3 billion people on the internet. Those companies that do that will succeed. Those that are just spraying and praying still just won't. So I do hope you said an interesting thing at the very beginning, which kind of underpins everything we talk about. You said, if I'm in a recruitment team and I need to hire somebody really urgently, that's the problem. Those words, really urgently, were the problem. The problem that unfortunately dictates everything we do and where it goes wrong, because it's a reactive, it's a fire sale, it's a distress purchase, it's either because a hiring manager was too late or mucked about the person he wanted, or because they tried to do and mend with the people they had, or nobody knows what they really want, or they don't want to pay the money. Or once it becomes urgent, there's no win. No one's going to win, because you're going to make a knee-jerk bad decision, or you're going to start if a team needs somebody that urgently, it means everybody else in the team, the morale is down, they're covering other people, they're not so productive, the team is less productive, and everybody loses in the end.
Yeah.
So it's actually proper workforce planning. It's understanding what you have in the organization. There might be people in marketing who would like to work with the recruitment team. We shouldn't be filling positions that are that urgent. If there are, then that's where some of the new platforms, the TaskRabbits and Upworks will come in, and they're professionally equivalent.
You hear, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and this company just decided to up and move location. And it's like, right, nobody's going. So somehow the workforce planning, as you're saying, hadn't seen that nobody would want to move. So it was literally every position needed to be replaced in 6 weeks. And it's just like, it's just not possible to do that. It's kind of crazy. But exactly what you're talking about. I do think that there almost needs to be a step back before we can go forward into let's get back to getting the basics right. All of that stuff.
But that's leadership.
Yeah.
That's very, very poor leadership to arrive at a decision without consulting and without kind of trying to find out what will work best. That's knee-jerk decision-making probably. Or decision-making from an autocratic organization that's not interested in what the people working there have to say.
So Jackie's written
I'm
here.
only doing this so I can see a few of the comments too.
Jackie's written
Aren't we always in a hurry to get
jobs filled? So
aren't we always in a hurry?
I think if you're okay, so I beg to differ on this whole millennial bullshit, as we know. Sorry if I just offended anyone with my swear words. I think now all of us have the clarity to see how many jobs are out there. So we're more inclined to be willing to move. So I think there's a natural churn at the 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. So there's a natural, every company really, the roles might shift a bit, but the roles are kind of the same. So there should be that ability to be creating that forward thinking, that workforce planning, whatever you want to call it, to know that you're going to need those kind of roles again in an 18-month, 2 year period. Because I don't think it's a young thing. I think it's we can now move that rapidly because of technology.
If a hiring manager keeps asking you to fill things urgently, the problem's with the hiring manager, it's not you. Yeah. But if you then say, okay, I'll get somebody in immediately and can't fill it, you've made it your problem and it looks like you're not doing well. Yeah. Yes, I've seen the comment there, time to hire is a metric. It is time to hire, but I mean, again, time to hire is a dare I say, a rubbish metric on its own. You need like all things, you need the context around it. It could be a difficult job to fill. It could be an area of the market that there aren't many people. It might be that you're not a great company to work for. You've got a bad reputation. It might be you're not paying enough. It might be you've got a manager or director leading that who's got a really bad reputation in the sector. Nobody wants to work for them. There's lots of things that you've got people who are indecisive. They put in 5-6 levels of interview. Because they can't make their mind up. They wait to get a group assessment together. They've got to get people from all over the country. And so that puts in a delay of 2-3 weeks. There's lots of reasons that are outside the recruiter's control that make time to hire look bad. And so a lot of recruiters need to stand up and say, okay, I will manage your expectation. You want someone urgently. Let's look at an internal solution to make sure I've got the time to actually get you the best person. And now I know that's easier said than done. It's easy for me to sit here, who's not recruiting a big organization, having to push that to hiring managers. But it's educating backwards. It's kind of, recruiters need to educate hiring managers, because without recruiters bringing in the people, they don't have a business. They don't have a team.
But if we take it like that step backwards to go forwards, if we start to change these teams up, and use all the data that's available and have all those people, the analysts you were talking about, plus the marketers, etc. It should be possible for them to be able to stand up because they've got the data, not just the gut. You know, we used to stand up and gut and go, there isn't anyone out there. We can actually say, I can show you that there's nobody out there that has those skills, or they won't work for us for this reason or whatever. So you've got some ammunition.
I know, but it's also understanding. It goes back to my very first point. Understanding the networks. It's having the network. It's if we manage the networks properly, we mine them. We have this extended network. We don't just have an ATS machine that we run keyword searches through and moan that we can't find it. So we bang up an ad on Indeed and moan that we get another 500 responses. It's working that network, and it's being able to understand the people we know, the people we're connected to, and marketing that out through, alumni, people who've applied before who weren't right then, could be right now. It's a smart way to manage all the wider connections at our disposal. And I think that's what we're not that good at, because we're put under time pressure. And so we think we've got to find, and we've got to find quickly. And the quickest way to find is to bang an ad up on a job board and to go through the ATS. And to offer $500 or £500 to any employee that can recommend someone. And that's it. And I'm not denigrating, because there are a lot of brilliant recruiters out there. Thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of brilliant recruiters out there. I'm not saying that's what everybody does, but I'm saying it's a mindset it's easy to slip into.
So I'm loving your idea of the network, of course, obviously with what I do. But I even see it now. Some comments. But you're then not going to hear my question, Mervyn.
Yeah, I am. I just look at there's lots of comments.
No, because I know you. I know you can't read.
I need to know.
The same question. And so, because this is directly related to what you just said, so it's that beautiful, and all of these recruiters are getting out and they're using all of these networks, and I'm sure some are getting all over the place. But what's happened? You're uh-oh'd. No?
We can hear you fine, but your internet's slow.
Oh, okay. I don't know why.
Well, we can hear you fine, so just keep talking.
I've got nothing going. That's really weird. But my concern,
we can hear you.
The job seekers don't know to use their network. Like, I meet job seekers all the time. Interesting, Hannah's here, so I wonder if she could agree with me on this. Who they just think, oh, I'll put my LinkedIn profile up, and that's it. I don't have to do anything else. They don't know how to network to a job. And I had a huge argument with a mate of mine. It was so fun because it was over beer. But it was like, you could just work out where you want to work and network your way there. And he's like, no, I couldn't do that. It's interesting. Am I frozen? I hope I'm not frozen. That'd be worse.
No, I can't see you.
Frozen. I know it's snowing in southeast London, but you're not frozen.
Stop, the sun's back out. Brightness.
So many job seekers just go to the job boards and apply for 50 jobs and wait. It is terrible.
They don't get how they could open doors as well. So much as I hear what you're saying, and I think it's amazing, where's the education piece with the job seekers of all levels to know that they can actually use their own network?
You sure they're not in college?
Because when you enter the job market, you're told to get a CV, you're told how to write your CV, and you're told to go out there and find jobs. And many, many years ago, people would just take that CV to shops, businesses in the local area and hand it into reception and say, do you have anything? Let me know. They'd go through the local press. They might go through more regional or national press. They'd ask people who they knew, school, college, and kind of people they knew in their community. Where do you work? Are there any jobs there? But we've kind of moved away from that, and we now are, in a space where people think that they've got to have a CV and send it out to hundreds and hundreds of people. And if you look at people who unfortunately are unemployed and on job seekers allowance, some of them have to prove that they've sent out 200 applications a week to get the £64.
The absolute worst thing with that. So the job centres here, Audra, if you have a gap on your CV, 3 months, 6 months, etc., the job centre, who really doesn't give a shit about you, bless them, will just send you to a recruitment agent. But a recruitment agent can't place you if you have a 6-month gap or a 12-month gap on your CV, because their client is paying the big bucks to get somebody who's working right now. So that gap then becomes a year, 2 years, and they're just unemployable by that point. Because the job centres here do not even teach them how to get onto LinkedIn, how to get to the likes of Hannah and read her fantastic blog on all the job search advice and what Job Hop talks about, Job Hop Julie talks about as well. And they just don't.
I love this.
It's making it so much worse. Oh, I'm off tandent, I know, but I still think that's part of the problem with recruitment.
Yeah.
Job Hop Julie, hates CVs. My mission is getting rid of them altogether. Hannah, sending resumes is such a waste of time. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, though, the cycle has to be broken. And we can't break the cycle because from the parental generation down, you're told that's what you need to do. And it's this default thing. It's popular culture is you send your CV out or you make job applications and you don't do it any other way. You either know somebody, so you use your personal network. And all we're doing now, I mean, my first job came through my dad. I said, I'm going to train to be an accountant. And he gave me the name of 2 or 3 firms where he knew partners at those firms who he had trained with and stuff, and said they're supposed to be good. And I applied to all 3, and one in particular they like me. So, but I mean, we've now moved away from that, and I'm not blaming job boards. I'm not saying that the digitalization, but there is so much access, we can't filter it down. And so the default thing is to send out 200 CVs a week, and you put in all the activity and something will happen. And that is wrong, but it's a culture thing. It's a mindset thing. And we have to attack it from many different ways.
So I like, I mean, Tris has gone on here, like, how are we going to do that? How can you highlight your skills? Actually, I mean, particularly because he's in the tech field, I love what Workshape has done. So what Hung Lee has created, because it's not just these developers have got these skills, but it's more about, well, this particular role will involve this, and that you create a shape of whether you're doing architecture or debugging or testing or whatever it is, and then you match and say, this is what I'd like to be doing, this is what my strengths are, and you just match these shapes. And it's the first time I've seen a product where I've gone, oh wow, that is truly different. It's truly somebody trying to make a difference in this field, rather than the CV. It's a shape. I can't describe it any other way. Workshape.io. Uh-oh. What's he written here? Tell my auntie that she hasn't got LinkedIn and works as a teaching assistant.
Who said that?
Tris. Well, no, but she could be found by Facebook.
It's true.
Yeah, there you go.
We're not, I mean, it's a difficult one. I mean, it's easy to say, if we go back to where I began, the future of recruitment is, the job seeker having this, and it will connect it to all open positions and stuff. But I mean, that's obviously 10 years time, maybe. But it's understanding, not what's happening now, what could come next, what could eventually happen. It's like, in 2004, 2005, HMV were not told about streaming and Spotify because nobody saw it. Or the people advising them didn't perceive this thing would ever happen, that people would pay a monthly subscription to access all the music that's ever been recorded. And so it's like that for recruitment. What we don't know in 10 years time how job seekers might find jobs. We're talking about all this data in the cloud and all these things we can do, and that might be turned on its head at some stage by a piece of tech that no one's thought of yet. That puts it on, and the job seeker might pay a monthly subscription to have this information. You don't know. At the moment, it's illegal to charge them, but it's something that may happen.
Well, LinkedIn charge them.
I was thinking that.
LinkedIn charged them to see the salary band on the job you've just paid to post.
I know, it's a membership, isn't it? That's
is it? Yeah. No, it's to see the salary band on the job you've just paid to post. It's outrageous. So what else do you see in your crystal ball?
I see lots of comments. I see lots of comments on the side. I don't know if we're answering them or not.
Oh, I wouldn't worry. They're arguing amongst themselves. Awesome.
Have we started that?
No, I don't know. I can't possibly keep up with Anderson and chat all at once. I can't do that.
We didn't talk much about the candidate experience yet.
Again, you did that last week. There isn't one.
Okay. But what about, I like your idea about when you offer someone the job, that it's much more than money now, that it used to be about how much money is it, where is it located? But in your blog, you talked about how it has to be about a lot more.
Purpose.
It is, yes. And, I've seen some research that I can't say anything about because it's not been written up yet, but it's just it was just a quite interesting kind of looking at job seekers about what they think employers look for and what they are looking for, and then asking employers what do they think job seekers looking for, and what are they looking for. And the big mismatch was that employers think that the most important thing to job seekers is compensation and benefits. And for the job seeker, that came in about fifth.
Oops, sorry, just breaking something.
So people want different things, and again, it's not a millennial thing. It's everybody has always wanted different things. A lot of that is driven. A lot of behaviour when people enter the workforce is driven by the economic situation when they enter the workforce. So people who graduate in a recession have got more in common with people who graduated in 1981, 82, 91 than they would have in 2001, 2002. So I mean, it's that underpins a lot because that dictates the opportunities that are there and the compromises people have to make at the start. But I've forgotten the question now. I've gone off at a tangent. What was the question?
My curtain rod falling apart distracted everybody. Sorry, Hannah.
So when you actually present an offer, is the idea that you should know exactly the person you're offering to, what they care about, so that you can present the offer that way.
And doesn't that go back to treating people as people and asking them questions and delving in and like,
so they know what they need.
They're not talent, they're people. Like, anyway, don't mind me ranting.
I know, but I mean, we I suppose, again, there's another side to that. Do we want people? Do we, I mean, a lot of jobs at the moment at the lower skilled, lower level, or, jobs, anybody can do it. It's interchangeable. And that's why I say, the interview and stuff like that, the application process will be very minimal in future. And that's why it can all be done from a platform, from an app. And the problem with the higher skilled knowledge sector jobs is people they've not hired for that role before. And they don't know where that role is going to go in 3 years' time. They don't know in 3 years' time what problems their company will face. So they have to let go of a structure that has kind of rewarded, this whole thing around a culture of innovation. So you have to let people experiment and fail. But very few corporations have an internal or reward system or internal management, performance management system that will allow people to fail. So I'm going to give this a go. I think this is a good idea. It hasn't worked. That person is then a failure. That person is not hit targets. That person is possibly out the business. So they don't want to take the chance. So it's finding a way to reward experimentation as well, which again is slightly off tangent to where we started. But I mean, this is such a multi-layered thing. Yeah. And that we can't really go for the one. We'd love to find a simple solution for a simple problem. But it's not a simple problem, and therefore there's not a simple solution.
Which is why we got you on.
Exactly. The labour market is a complex emergent process. Yeah. Despite what BBC News, or I'm sure the NBC News in the US says whenever there's kind of labour market figures out, like, the labour market paused for breath, or, unemployment kind of eased up. This is not. This is the resultant. This is the result of the interaction of 30-40 million people in the UK, and obviously hundreds of millions of people in the US. In any month in the UK, 1 million people move into work, 1 million people move out of work, and they move between work and another work, and they move between work and unemployment and activity, inactivity to work. And at the end of it, this is all based on a survey of 20,000 people every month. We get figures that approximate why there's always a massive difference between the number of unemployed and the people who get job seekers allowance. But because it's a complex emergent process, it's very difficult to predict. And we try to predict it, but it does its own thing. True. Anyway, that got us slightly political there. Okay. So let's move back to recruitment. Before anyone asks about
can you really see factory workers or nurses using an app to build their personal brand and get jobs? No, I can't.
No.
I can't, because again, and I don't even just think it's what I would call blue collar in Australia. I don't even think it's related to that. I know many a professional, high level, director level, who just do not understand it and how to do it. So it's
No, I mean they won't have a personal brand.
We all want that, but they might not understand how to use that, and there'll be a gap there that needs sorting.
They won't have a personal brand, but they will have a smartphone, as most people have now. Yeah. And even if you're unemployed, you need to you've got everything's by email. So if you don't have a smartphone, you don't have an email account, you've got to go to a local library and set one up. They will have a smartphone, and therefore they will have some form of a rating, because they will have this kind of digital work record, because a lot of the time they will begin to be the kind of people you're talking about will begin to be employed through third party suppliers in the supply chain, and they will have a record, not quite like an Uber driver, but I mean there will be a record where stuff about them will be rating, and there's not a lot they can do about that, because the person who's hired them to do a job or task will rate that task.
Right.
So that will build up
task oriented work. Snow, sleet again.
Well, you need to come southwest because the sun's shining now.
Well, that means I'll have that shortly. In about half an hour.
Hopefully so. Shall I open the blinds here so you can see the sunshine there? Can you see it's lighter now?
It's like that's snow. What the? Anyway, sorry for those that come back to Texas. I'm back late July. So I'm in DC next month. Right. So anyway, we're out of time, Mervyn.
You're not. I've got so much to say yet.
I know, it's a big topic.
It is a big topic. It's a big topic. I mean, I think there's so much change in the last 5 years. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next 5 years. I don't think we can even look beyond it.
I've never been to Texas, Jackie. I've never been to Texas. I'd love to go to Texas. No one ever invites me.
Nope. There you go.
Invite yourself. That's how the rest of us get there. I'm going to Dallas again in the hottest time of the year. I must be mad.
People might not want me. Oh, because I'm invited.
Jackie will take you out.
It's too hot. Beef. It's
Jackie
too hot
and Tom. Beef. Oh, I think 20 degrees is hot. So God knows what I'm going to do in 4 weeks. But anyway, sweat.
My US trips have only been to Vegas for events, although it will be Chicago this year.
Funny. I'm very excited about DC next month. Anyway, on that note, we're out of time. We have nobody next week, so if I'd quite like to have Tris on if he can spare an hour, or recruit Mark. There's lots of opinions going on. So if you want to be on our show next week, we have nobody. Please let us know. Who is on the 2 weeks after?
So in 2 weeks we have Kevin Grossman, which I'm super excited about. I'm a big fan. It was T-Chat, but now it's called Work Trends, I think, is one of his big Twitter chats. But he does a lot of things with candidate experience. He's awesome. Yep. And then Pete Radoff is in 3 weeks from Recruit to See.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
I'm so looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to catching up with him again.
Yeah.
So he and I like to beer. Oops. Anyway,
it's beer o'clock where you are now.
I know. I'm really thinking of calling it a day. It's shocking.
I'm jealous.
It's like 4 p.m. and I'm like, it's been a busy week. Anyway, Mervyn, thank you.
It's a bank holiday weekend. Remember, if you're in the UK.
Oh, it's not here.
The long weekend.
Oh,
not when you work for yourself. Anyway.
No, of course not. Of course.
I work when I feel like working.
As we all will one day.
So can I bring the GBR crew if I come on your show? Well, there's only space for 2 of you. Sure.
What's GBR mean?
I don't know, but I know what he means. I'll chat with you offline. Anyway, Mervyn, thank you again so much.
Thank you, Mervyn.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It's been awesome chatting.
I've enjoyed it. Yes.
Bye.
Maybe you'll invite me back one